Okay, so what I wanted to do was take a look at our homework, which is going to be assignment number 1, which is going to directly relate to the things that we talked about today from chapter 1. So if we look at assignment number 1, you'll notice that there's a number of things here, but a kinematic diagram is going to be drawn. There's going to be 6 diagrams, but then they have a corresponding mobility equation for each one. So really it's six problems, okay? And if you look back at the previous video on, using AutoCAD for these problems, I kind of, let you know how to hand those in, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up our book and we're going to look at each one of these problems and you're going to let me know. Do I want to switch cameras? No. Come on, Epson. Okay, I have to go back in. Hold on. There we go. Okay. And you're just going to let me know if you want to see any of the kinematic diagrams. So we already did 1-1 this evening, so that one you should be good on. The next one that we have here is 1-3. This is a stadium seat, and the seat is going to rotate upright, and then it's attached to the wall, probably going to be our frame, at these 2 points right here, okay? Does anybody want to see the kinematic diagram for that or get it started? Or you feel comfortable with that? Want to see that one? Sure, yeah. Let's do it. Now we're just going to sketch these. We're not going to draw them in AutoCAD, but you'll translate them to, AutoCAD as we had discussed earlier. Oh, chat. How do you want us to do the case studies on the last 2 questions? Oh yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. You're just going to write the answers out is all you're going to do. Okay. You don't need to do any diagrams for those. Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the stadium seat. So just kind of planning as we're looking here, we're going to have a frame member here, right? And then we're going to have another connection to the frame right there. All right. So I'm going to draw those 2 first on my piece of paper. Okay. So this is problem 1-3. Okay. And we're going to see, it's going to be one frame member. Okay. And then we're going to have the other, I'm going to draw the other frame member when I kind of get everything else in place. Okay. So I'm going to start down here. And this is going to be the lower one where the seat is attached to. Okay. Now, in this case, the stadium seat, we probably want to know kind of what that swing is, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw through this line here where we have another point, but then I'm going to go further. And then I'm going to kind of make a triangle like that. Okay. To kind of show the extents of that seat. So I'm going to go like this. Like that. Okay. And then I would have a connection point to that next link right about there, which is going to be this one. Okay. So then I'll draw that diagonal there. And then I've got another link then going up to the frame, right? So then here's going to be the frame. There we go. There it is. It's a little weird. Now, once we have all of our links in place, now we want to do our numbering and lettering. So number 1 is going to be my frame. Number 2, now really again here, this is arbitrary, but I'm going to call my seat number 2. Number 3 is going to be the next link. And then number 4 is going to be the last link back to the frame. And then my joints are going to be A, B, C, and D. Now, some students, they kind of are like, well, the frame is kind of connected, right? It's all the wall. If you connect this and show this as a continuous hatch, I'm okay with that, but it doesn't have to be. They can be separate connections to what is the frame that is not moving, number 1. Okay. All right. Any questions on this one? And then I believe it's, if we look at 1-3, I think it's 1-28 is going to be the mobility equation for that very same one. So then you're going to add the F is equal to 3 times N minus 1 minus 2 times JP. Okay, so turning the page, the next illustration or the next diagram we have, it's another toggle link. It's a little bit, or toggle clamp. It's a little bit different than the one that we did in our examples. Okay, so you'll have to kind of look more closely here. It's not exactly the same, but it's similar. Okay, similar in operation, but it is a little bit different. Does anybody want to see the toggle clamp? Okay. And then we've got the child's digging toy. How about this one? I will tell you this one does not have a degrees of freedom of 1. How many people have used one of these before? Yeah, right? So what would it would be a 2? You're exactly right. There's 2 levers, right? To get it to do its final, task. So your mobility here is going to come out to 2. So the numbers aren't going to be 4 and 4. It's going to be a little different. Anybody want to see this one? No? Okay. All right. The next one that we have is a 1-11. 1-11 problem statement is at the bottom here. It's a reciprocating saw, and the illustration is at the top of the next column here. Okay. So the mechanism that we have here in the inside, that connecting link is actually attached to the radius of that disc. Okay. So the center of rotation would be right there, and we would only represent it as a single line radius to where it would connect. Okay. So we're not going to draw the circle. It's just going to go like that. So if we look at 1-11, really zoomed in here. 1-11. Okay. Our frame is going to be the center of that disc. So I'll draw that probably this like this. Okay. That's the center of that disc. And then it's just a radius. This is going, around, like this is going to be a round disc, but we're only going to connect straight line to where then it's going to attach that connecting rod. Okay. About there, which is then going to be attached to a slider. Okay. That's what that one looks like simplified. Now, you may look at it and be like, this has a blade. So right here is that slider, right? Right here is the slider, right here is that connecting rod, and here's that little radius, but there is a blade out here. If you wanted to do that, if you wanted to add the blade as a special interest point, you can go ahead and do that. All right. Because it probably is something that we'd be interested in knowing. How far out does it go and how far in does it go? Okay. So you could show that. You would. Something like that. If you want to. It just kind of seems like a good idea. Okay. All right, so that's 1-11. And then you would add the labels, you would add the links, the joints, and then do the mobility equation that goes along with that one. And then I think the last one we have is number 24. Okay. And number 24, this is the sewing machine. It is not this illustration here at the, underneath it. It is at the top of the next column. This is the illustration for number 24. Okay. And this is similar to that reciprocating saw, except turned on its end. So this one is going to be that, it's got the round circle again. You're going to have your frame at the center of that. The radius is going to be your crank. Okay. Connecting rod is here, and your slider is up here where it connects. Special interest point would be down by that needle. Okay. So you could add that if you wanted to.
So you can have a like a arm that comes off of your,
Mhm.
like a solid arm that comes off.
Yeah, and that's what I did with that saw earlier. Because,
Okay, yeah.
and this would really literally be in this orientation like that. Yeah. Mhm. Yep. And that would more closely represent your final, function, if you would. Okay. And then Logan had a question about, there are 2 case studies at the end here yet. Okay. So that kind of takes care of the kinematic diagram. The mobility equation goes with each one of those. So yes, there's 12 problems listed, but literally it's really 6 problems, right? 6 diagrams and then 6 mobility equations to go along. And then the last part you have here is going to be the case study questions. So the first one here, it gives you a description of the mechanism right here. And then it wants you to answer some questions about it. So kind of look at what you see there and, answer the questions, see what you come up with. And then the second case study is 1-2. Here again, gives you a description. And if we turn the page, the mechanism is here on the back side. And then there's a couple more questions that continue on that back side. Okay. Simple answers, but, answer the question. All right. And that is your assignment number 1. Okay. That's your assignment number 1. So what I'll do we're at about 7:30. For the rest of the time that we're together this evening, I'm going to let you work on that. And I'm here to answer questions that you might have. Okay. If we need to, I'll demonstrate for everybody in the room, but I'm going to let you work independently for the duration. Okay. So, I'm going to stop recording.